Hey everyone, Harley's here, and today I want to discuss a ROM hack that I've been recently working on. The project is mostly completed and I don't plan on adding much more to it, but I wanted to share what I've been up to. That said, let me introduce you to my project, Pokemon Edited Emerald. Edited Emerald is a ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald, and my aim was to rebalance some of the Pokemon available in the Hoenn region, while keeping the experience mostly the same. Essentially enabling most, if not all, Pokemon to be a viable option for endgame teams. The way I believe I've achieved this is by rebalancing some stats and level up movesets. In the description below, I have linked a Google Slides document that details all of the changes made to each Pokemon line in the Hoenn Dex. I've not added any new Pokemon, however, the locations of some Pokemon available in Hoenn have been changed. I'll get into that a little bit more later. The new Fairy type and the physical special split have also not been implemented. I wanted to keep the experience of Pokemon Emerald extremely faithful. Despite this, I have changed some moves' power and PP to reflect changes in later generations that I thought were appropriate or to balance the move in general. I also want to give a shout out to Smith Plays Pokemon and Bisa for being heavy inspirations for this ROM hack. Smith Plays made a Crystal ROM hack and has also made a Pokemon Yellow one now as well. That's a lot more comprehensive than the attempt that I'm making at Emerald. And Bisa is making huge map changes to try and create an open world experience in Pokemon Emerald. I recommend checking out both of their works if you're into ROM hacks and want to find some inspiration of your own, or just have another project to follow. Now, I want to talk about why I chose to edit Pokemon Emerald. It was the Pokemon game that I played the most growing up, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. A lot of my favourite Pokemon, such as Absol, Mudkip, Roselia, and Milotic, are from the Hoenn region, and so I wanted to make some of them more viable. There's no doubt some bias towards which Pokemon got preferential treatment in this hack. I'll straight up admit that some Pokemon really didn't get many changes at all, such as Luvdisc, which just appears too late in the game, and its only real purpose seems to be farming heart scales repeatedly. Some Pokemon evolution levels in Hoenn are also way too high in my opinion. For example, Meditite doesn't evolve until level 37, where Meditite is extremely weak, and Medicham isn't a shining example of a late game Pokemon. Shuppet and Duskull are also in the same position, being found relatively late and evolving at a level that requires quite a lot of investment. If these Pokemon were to evolve slightly earlier, they could be a massive asset against Tate and Liza's Psychic Gym. Some Pokemon level up moves were also just underwhelming. Take Lotad for example, a grass and water type that learns no water type moves and only gets Absorb and Mega Drain for Grass Stab, and doesn't even get Mega Drain until level 43. That's just insane! In my mind, most trainers are expected to have Pokemon up to level 50 by the time they reach the Elite Four, however, some Pokemon don't learn their strongest moves until way past that, such as Exploud not getting Hyper Voice until level 63. As such, I've gone through and made most Pokemon learn more stab and coverage attacking moves, and will usually finish learning these moves at about level 40 or 50, sometimes higher in a very few cases. Some Pokemon have also got rebalanced stats, either an overall increase or some stats shifted around. I'll go over those on a case-by-case basis when I get to them. The structure I plan to use for these videos will usually follow me introducing the roots of Hoenn, which Pokemon will appear in them, and any changes that I've made to those Pokemon. For this video, however, I wanted to explain what this ROM hack is and why I decided to make it. For the rest of this video, I'm going to cover the starter Pokemon and what changes I've made to them. So, Trico, Torchic or Mudkip, every trainer's first choice when starting an adventure in Hoenn. Now let's see who to choose. Wait a minute. Those are the Kanto starters! So yeah, I lied a little. I did add some Pokemon from older games, but it's only these three. I thought it'd be a nice idea to have different starter options. I'm sure we've all played through Hoenn with the Hoenn starters, so why not change it up a little bit? Don't worry, the Hoenn starters are still available in the game, and you won't even have to choose which one you want, as all three are wild encounters. I won't spoil where they are here if you want to try and find them yourself, but I will be covering them when we get to the areas they can be encountered. That said, let's discuss Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. Up first, the very first Pokemon in the Pokédex, and my favourite of the three is Bulbasaur. To start, Bulbasaur's typing and evolution levels haven't changed, and the only stage to get any stat changes is Venusaur, who I've given an extra 10 in special attack, going from 100 to 110. Overall, Venusaur's stats are really good, decent bulk, decent speed, and now quite good special attack. An issue that Venusaur has had in the past is a distinct lack of poison type moves, only ever getting Poison Powder in Generation 3 and without TMs had no grass type attacking option aside from Razor Leaf or Solar Beam, with nothing to bridge the gap. As such, I've edited its learn set, and you'll be able to see that over on the right hand side of the screen. Giving the Bulbasaur line Acid, Sludge, and Sludge Bomb gives it some poison type stab options that progress in power throughout the game, and Magical Leaf and Petal Dance were also given to bridge the gap between Razor Leaf and Solar Beam mentioned earlier. It also learns Razor Leaf earlier and no longer learns Vine Whip, as in my mind there's not much reason to learn both. Bulbasaur also gets Growth instead of Growl and learns Leech Seed much later, making Stall Tactics no longer as good as an option until later. Lastly, I gave Venusaur Sunny Day as a support option to help get instant Solar Beams and potentially help out any Fire-type Pokemon the player wishes to use. And now onto Charizard. Charizard has no changes to its type, evolution level or stats, however I've made quite a few changes to its learn set. Charizard previously had no other Fire-type attacks in between learning Ember and Flamethrower, and so was stuck with Ember throughout the mid-game. Charizard would also learn Fire Spin as its last move, which is just an awful choice as it's incredibly weak. As such, the Charmander line will now learn the moves that you'll see over on the right hand side of the screen again. Instead of Growl, Charmander now gets Scary Face. Charmander will also learn Dragon Breath before evolving. I would say it gives it more coverage, but Dragon's only super effective on other dragons. Oh well, the Paralysis chance is nice. Charmeleon will learn Metal Claw and Dragon Rage, giving it some more mid-game options as well as Fire Punch to bridge the gap between Ember and Flamethrower. And when Charmeleon evolves, Charizard will learn Wing Attack as well as Dragon Claw. Charizard also gets Fire Blast instead of Fire Spin now, and also gets Sunny Day like Venusaur does. Overall, Charizard's gained a bit more coverage now, and gets much better options during the mid-game. One last thing I want to mention here, even though it's not entirely relevant, is now the HM Cut is a Grass-type attack that the Charmander line can learn, giving it to a mini counter to Water, Rock and Ground types, which could be quite nice. Last up is Blastoise. Again, type's evolution level remains the same, but Blastoise's HP stat has been increased by 11, going from 79 to 90. For a Pokemon focusing on defense, 79 HP just wasn't quite enough. Blastoise also suffered from having no stab options between Water Gun and Hydro Pump in its learn set, although this is often felt less than the others, as the Surf HM is an outstanding move to have, and pretty much every water type can learn it. Blastoise also only ever got Normal and Dark as coverage moves, which is just unacceptable, especially compared to what Blastoise can do nowadays with Flash Cannon, Aura Sphere, Dragon Pulse and Dark Pulse. You'll see Blastoise's new learn set over on the right of the screen again. Squirtle no longer learns Tail Whip, and instead straight away gets Withdraw like Turtwig does. It also gets Water Gun instead of Bubble, as Bubble was just too weak, although I did update Bubble to have 40 power like it did in later generations, so there was just no reason to have both. Squirtle also gets Icy Wind as a coverage option now. Waterall will learn Bubble Beam. Whoa. Bubble Beam? What the hell is Bubble Beam? Waterall will learn Bubble Beam as a mid-game water-type stab option, along with support moves like Iron Defense and Rain Dance. Blastoise upon evolution will learn Skull Bash and gets access to Ice Beam for better ice coverage. The last move Blastoise now learns is Mirror Coat. As a tanky Pokemon, and now with more HP to utilise, Blastoise could make good use of Mirror Coat, especially as the types it's weak to, being Grass and Electric, are both special attacking types. That's all for the new starters in Pokemon Edited Emerald. Who will you choose? What did you think about the changes? Are you excited to learn more about how I've rebalanced the Pokemon in the Hoenn region? Let me know and leave a comment. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you want to keep up to date with any videos I post about this project and anything I might do in the future, subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you again. Bye bye!